Hola amigos, a bunch of people have been asking me what was the process like for buying a house in Dubai. Was it difficult? Was it long? Was it painful? Did you get a mortgage? What was the experience like? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through all the things that we experienced buying our house in Dubai. And I've tried to organize it. I've tried to put it into 7 steps for buying a house in Dubai. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's helpful for you. Here we go. Step 1, do what's best for you. So there's a whole bunch of different people in Dubai and everyone has their own way of doing things. Some people think that renting is the best way to do it. Some people think that owning is the best way to go. It's definitely good to get information from other people or it's to get some other opinions from other people, but what they think is not necessarily what's going to be best for you. Step 2, budget.
Ooh, I like that one.
You want to get a rough idea of what your budget's going to be. I mean, if you have no budget, then that's a pretty awesome way to shop, but I think for the people watching this video, you probably are going to need to have a budget. You might learn at this step here that you don't have enough for a down payment, and you're going to have to go back to more of a savings plan. This is what happened to us. We found out that our budget wasn't quite high enough for what we were looking for, and we had to go back and save a little bit longer. I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than wanting something right away and having to go back and wait a little bit longer. All right, you ready to go?
Just 1 minute.
In terms of figuring out what your budget is, there's 2 ways that we can look at this. So one, if you're going to be buying your house through a mortgage, banks will cover you up to 80% of the value of the home, and some banks will actually now cover up to 80% of some of the fees that are associated with the closing costs and stuff like that. We'll get into fees in a few steps down the road. If you're buying your house in cash, I would imagine a budget's still going to be very good for you. I'm not a financial advisor, so you would have to figure out what your lifestyle is and what kind of costs that you can afford. Some of the research will say that you shouldn't spend more than 25 to 30% of your income on your house, but again, that's completely up to you and you have to find out what you're comfortable with. All right, for our next step, I think this location is getting a little mundane, so let's find something a little bit more spicy. Oh baby, that is a nice view. For those of you that don't have a magical door that can take you to the Palm, I've got great news for you. If you live here, the Palm is very accessible by car as well. Let's look at step 3 and then let's also look at step 4. So I've combined these 2 because I feel like they go hand in hand. So step 3 is agents and then step 4 is knowing your research. So I've listed agents as the 3rd step because they're going to come into your life pretty quickly. What's going to happen is you're going to be looking at your budget, you're going to start looking at properties online, and then you're going to naturally want to go see those in person. The only way that you'll be able to do that is by contacting the agent that's associated with that property. Now, when you go see those properties, don't feel that you have to stick with that agent because it's really important that you find someone that you can trust and obviously someone that comes from a reputable broker. So if they don't feel like they're that sort of people for you, then don't feel obligated to stick with them. One of the things that'll probably come up pretty quickly when you're talking to your real estate agent is they're going to ask you if you have a pre-approval. So a pre-approval is a number that you've worked out with your bank, you've gone through the application process and the bank said, okay, we are going to give you this amount of dollars towards your mortgage. And knowing that number is really good because then the real estate agent can kind of target certain areas, and it also confirms what your budget is so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. One advantage to it is if you do find a place that you like, you can get on it quickly as opposed to having to go through the application process. Having a pre-approval, that is something that we did get and it worked out for us. The pre-approval kind of leads us into the next type of agent that you might be dealing with, and that's a mortgage agent. So we did use a mortgage agent. We felt that a mortgage agent, there is a cost associated with this. It could be anywhere from 5 to 10,000 dirhams. We felt this was a good investment for us because we were going to be spending a whole bunch of money on a villa, and we had never bought anything in the UAE before, so I just wanted to make sure that all our bases were covered. So for us, that's what it worked out to be. We paid the person half the amount on the pre-approval. Once the keys were handed over to us, after the final payment, we paid the other half of the fee. Alright, step 4, doing your own research. Now some people might think this seems a little odd because you're paying all this money to a real estate agent. Shouldn't that person be doing this all for you? But I mean, maybe it's just who I am. I really want to make sure that I've covered all my bases and that everything that we're spending all this money on is going to be perfect for us. So what I did is when I'd go through all the listings, I really found out when there was an area that we liked that I checked all the types and the different layouts, and I even went as far as to see, you know, there were some renovations that I wanted to do. I actually looked ahead and see if those renovations were going to even be allowed. So I kind of actually ended up finding a few villas that I had known done similar renovations to what I wanted to do, and I was able to obviously find out that those would be improved. So I didn't get into the house and then find out that I wasn't going to be able to do the things that I was hoping to do. Look into the builders, the people who built the community that you're looking to move into, or the building that you're looking to move into. But obviously some developers that are much better than others, so just keep that in mind. The other thing is that a lot of times, a lot of the communities will have Facebook groups. You can actually look into these Facebook groups and see what kind of problems or issues they might be facing. So you're buying something that obviously isn't going to be perfect. I mean, you want it to be as perfect as possible. Things are always going to come up no matter what you're buying, but you want to just make sure that there's not any major flaws that could possibly, set you back down the line. So just keep that in mind when you're going to buy. All right, on to step 5.
Step 5 is fees. These are the costs that are going to be associated when you're actually buying your home. So as I mentioned before, if you're getting a mortgage, banks will cover up to 80% of the value of their home, and some banks actually might cover up to 80% of some of these fees, but not all of them. So it's important to plan, especially when you're doing your budget, that there are going to be some additional costs that you need to have on top of your down payment. Let's take a look. I have a mortgage calculator up here just to give you a few examples. So to use us an example, we paid $2.375 million for our villa. We're going to punch it in there, 20% down payment, 25 years. The interest rate, that's pretty close. So instead of hitting next steps, we're just going to view the upfront costs. Okay, so looking at this, the actual amount that we'd have to have up front if we didn't have the bank helping us out with any of the fees would be $638,000. Of that $638,000, $475,000 is the actual down payment. So that's 20% of the property value. Right, the total purchase cost was $163,000. So it is significant. If we look at those, okay, so there's a land department fee, which is 4% of the value. There's a registration fee. There's a mortgage registration fee. That also includes the real estate agency fee. Then, there is a bank arrangement fee. Currently, that's a reduced amount. And then there's the valuation fee. So of these amounts here, there is certain banks that will pay for up to 80% of that. So if you want to actually, there's a nice little button here that says add the fees in the mortgage. Okay, if you do that, that will then reduce this amount from $638,000 to $524,000.
Step 6 is making an offer on a house. Basically, the real estate agent will extend your offer to the owner, and then that owner will accept or not. If they do accept, which I hope they do, what will happen is you'll sign a MOU, which is a Memorandum of Understanding, and this basically holds the house for you while the bank or the money and everything of that is being exchanged. This can be a short process, this can be a long process. It kind of depends on the banks that you're working with. It's basically a waiting process from there. All right, step 7, the most important one, clicking like, clicking subscribe. Hopefully this video was helpful for you. If there's anything that I've missed, please just leave a comment down below and I will get to it. If you have any questions or anything like that, just leave it down there. Till the next one, thanks for watching.